Coming up on today's show.
Just direct action missions. When you were watching like the Zarqawi hunt, that would have been my unit. We did a 2.6 mile shot out in Idaho. That was a new experience for me because we don't do that in the military, despite what you see on Facebook. It took me a month in sniper school to learn. I can teach everybody pretty much in one day.
Broadcasting from the Mid-Migration Outfitter Studios, this is the Finding Fur and Feathers Hunting Podcast.
How much direction are you getting from the governor?
Minnesota DNR had reintroduced him into this area.
I don't know, maybe you didn't want me to tell the story on the show, but I'm going to tell it anyway.
I knew you were going to go there.
From and close the entire hunting season.
Oh,
so that's
really?
pretty easy.
Finding Fur and Feathers Hunting Podcast is brought to you by OnX. Know where you stand with OnX. By Haybale Heights on Devil's Lake. Visit haybaleheights.com for more. By Ottertail County. Find your inner otter at ottertaillakescountry.com. And by Lake of the Woods Tourism. Plan your trip to Lake of the Woods at lakeofthewoodsmn.com.
Never taken part in any of these before because I always said, I'm a fully disabled vet, whatever, but there's guys out there that are extremely disabled. And every time they say, oh, it's a veteran or a wounded veteran hunter or whatever, I said, there's young privates out there that came back with no arms. Let those guys go do their business. Let them go have fun. I'm still I do guns every day. What do I need to do that for? I don't want to take up another slot, but I finally gave in. I said, yeah, I'll go do it. And I had just an amazing time hanging out with just some of the best people on the planet.
Well, I met our next guest during a filming of an episode of Prairie Sportsman last fall down in Worthington. We were down there filming Scott Rawl and his conservation work that he's done in Nobles County, and then learning about a veterans appreciation hunt that he's put on now for 3 years down there in that part of the world. And I got to meet some really cool guys while we were down there. Our next guest was one of those people that we hunted with there. His name is Todd VanLangen, and he joins us on the show right now. Todd, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm very good. Thank you very much. I feel like I should be calling you sir, first of all.
No, I work for a living. Don't call me that.
I know. I appreciate that response, but thank you for your service, first of all. And
right on.
And I know I have you in my phone as badass, by the way. I just want to just kind of set the stage a little bit for who we're talking to. You're a cool guy, man. You've just on the limited amount of time that I got to talk to you at that event, it sounds like you had quite the military career. So if you can, give us a little bit of background on your service, what you did that you can tell us about here on the show, so people know who you are.
Right on. Well, I was born and raised in Iowa. I left Webster City, Iowa, I guess when I was about 20. I was making some poor decisions in life, so the military was something I'd always wanted to do. So I got in about 97, I think, is when I joined, and I spent some time with the Rangers, and then went to the 82nd Airborne for just about a year. And then in 2000, right at the beginning of 2001, I got to 3rd Special Forces Group, and I stayed there for the rest of my career, whatever other 18, 19 years it was. And I had the honor of doing a whole bunch of different, cool missions. Each Special Forces team has a different kind of mission that they do, diving, free fall, spy stuff, all whatever kind of nonsense. There's all sorts of different things. And I think I got to taste a little bit of all of it. But one of the biggest things was I spent 13 years in our hostage rescue unit, and that was a lot of fun because it was right during the height of the Baghdad or the Iraq conflict. So from 2004 till about 2010, I stayed pretty much deployed that whole time, just coming back and going back over there, coming back and going back over there, forever. It seemed like it was just a never ending blur, but we were doing missions, we were taking down Zarqawi, doing all sorts of cool stuff. And man, it was just a fun time. And, went to be a warrant officer. But after that was over, I went back and did the team stuff some more, and then had the honor of commanding our sniper school there at 3rd Special Forces Group right before I retired. So that's pretty much in a nutshell what I did for about the last 23 years, I guess.
When I asked you about that for Prairie Sportsman when we were filming the show, you said you were part of the B-23.
Yes, sir.
Explain what, and you said it was an infamous unit. Explain what you did there, who that was.
Yes, sir. As B-23 is Bravo Company's 2nd Battalion, 3rd Special Forces Group. Every group of the active duty Special Forces groups, the 5 groups there, everyone has one company that's dedicated to hostage rescue, and that we work directly underneath the commander for whatever region we belong to. Like, we work for the AFRICOM commander. So Africa, North Africa, obviously, is a terrible place. Pretty much anywhere in Africa could be a terrible place at any time. But Africa and the Middle East was our responsibility. 10th Group goes to Europe, just all over we got it covered all the way around the world. But so I was able to be in that unit for, I guess it was about almost 12 years. I did everything there, from being a standard assaulter on a door entry team. Went to a free fall team where I was a sniper / reconnaissance guy, and did my first few jobs as a warrant officer there. I got to be an actual detachment commander there, which was pretty cool. And then, like I said, after that, I went and took over the sniper school, and then I was done.
So many questions I want to ask, but out of respect, I don't want to ask about certain things. And I don't know how much you can talk about anyway. But when I would Google, because I was trying to do a little bit of research for this interview, and when I would Google B-23, it wouldn't necessarily come up with anything B-23, but it would have news stories of certain hostage rescues. So I'm assuming you were probably a part of some of those rescues we would have learned about in the news.
Right. Yeah. I'm so probably. I'm sure that there's somewhere in there was something that we have done. And another thing that's cool about those kind of units was they figured out that because we're kind of a rapid wheels up, like we could be from in the locker room onto a bird going to a mission in about 7 minutes.
Wow.
So they realized that if they figured out there was a bad guy somewhere, we could be out the door and, get rid of that dude in just minutes, rather than regular military units that take forever to plan and do all their nonsense. So we were doing a lot of just direct action missions when you were watching like the Zarqawi hunt and some of the other things all around in the Middle East, North Africa, and things like that. That would have been my unit, and then the units from the other groups, and of course the SEAL Team 6 and all those guys too. We all kind of work in concert with each other. But when there's not a hostage rescue thing to do, there was always a mission in the desert to do. So,
man, how hot was it over there?
It was retarded hot. But to be honest with you, I think North Carolina's worse, and that's where I live right now. And it gets so hot here that it hurts to go outside. Like, I don't like it. And it might be just because I'm getting older. I don't know.
I do not like the heat very much.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan. I mean, the crappiest part would be when it would be 120 degrees, and then in an hour it would go down to 70 at night because there's no insulative properties in the desert. So you get hypothermia. You never thought you'd get hypothermia at 70 degrees, but no, definitely can, man. That was miserable. So it was so awful.
I know I asked you this too last time, but when you look at Hollywood, or even when you turn on the news and you get news stories, I mean, I remember that. I mean, I remember the first time we were over there, and then when we went back, that whole 2000s being kind of glued to the television, watching everything unfold. How much reality were we getting via the movies or the news, for that matter, versus real life over there?
It's as far as what I did, it's very. The movies don't do it justice, and or they make it look way cooler than it really is. A lot of the aspects are not near as cool as you might think they are. But some of the stuff is actually a lot cooler than they make it out to be because it's a sensitive type thing. So it's either way as far as the movies go. But with the news, it's more of just like an overarching thing. And you know how reporters are these days. If it's tragic, it's worth reporting on because that's what people watch. They don't show all the good, awesome stuff.
Right.
We had a reporter lie to us about who he was, and he ended up staying with us for a few days, then turned out to be one of the people from the other side of the aisle, sympathizers, and he wrote an article called The Dirty Brigade. You can Google it. It's a little tough to find, but if you find it, it's called The Dirty Brigade, and it's about our Iraqi counterterrorism force that we personally founded and raised and trained And those guys are super awesome. They're legit good dudes. They're better than most American military units. And, you know, they made them out to sound like, you know, war criminals or whatever, which, you know, incidentally ended up being good for us because the bad guys were scared to death of those dudes because they thought they were going to come into their house and kill everybody, you know. We don't have time for all that nonsense. You know, we're just there to get in and get out. We just want to go back and play Xbox mostly. So all that nonsense. But the bad guys didn't know that. So it worked to our favor. But yeah, that article is out there to read about. It's kind of a funny read, actually. But yeah, it's a different experience. It's honestly, it was the best time of my life. I wish I would have enjoyed it more, to be honest with you.
Well, it was a tough experience for anybody to go through, and obviously people have struggled with that when they've come back, and that's what's made events like the Veterans Appreciation Hunt in Worthington that Scott was instrumental in putting on. That's what makes those events so important, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, yes, sir. Yeah. So when you look at it, a lot of guys ask, you know, I get a lot of folks that did, you know, a tour or two and they got out, you know, they just did their enlistment and they got out. And those are the guys, the young guys that, especially right around when the war started, they weren't there for, you know, they came in to go to school or get their college money, you know, or just get out from not going to jail for a while or something. And they weren't expecting all that stuff. And they weren't, you know, they weren't ready for everything that happened. And guys in my unit, we're psychologically profiled. As a matter of fact, that's part of how we're selected is based on our mental, you know, toughness, so to speak, flexibility, all sorts of other things. But you know, as far as dealing with crises like that, but it still messes with you. You know, I think I got 15 different trips downrange, and it's always been bad every time. And it does weigh on you, no matter what. It changes you, and especially the younger guys, and you know, some of the folks that may have brought baggage with them to the military. That it can just be a catastrophic. You know, it can be cause a chain of catastrophic events once you get out, because like I said, I enjoyed it while I was there, and I loved it. And I wish I could still be there if my body would have held out. You know, and when you get out, it's pretty lonely, and then you mix being messed up in the head with that, and then your wife leaves you or your husband, whatever, and you're drinking, because that's what we do is we drink, and you know, it just makes everything just snowballs, and to the point where you make bad choices about your life, you know, to take it or not take it or whatever, and it's just not good. So fellowship type things like the Warriors Never Quit and Scott and all those, man, those guys are awesome up there. And I mean, it's not a huge deal, but it means a lot to the guys. I mean, I know for me being there, it's just, that's my yearly getaway. It's almost like I feel like I'm a kid again, because growing up in Iowa, that's what I did, pheasant hunting and stuff. And so to go back there and hang out with good Americans and other soldiers and stuff, and tell stories and just not worry about the world for a while, it's a pretty good experience. Definitely worthwhile.
Again, I can't thank you enough for what you did, and I'm all for these events that are there for the veterans. I wish there were more of them. I wish there were more programs, and just like, you guys should never have to pay for anything ever again. That's just my personal opinion. Just should be taken care of. Yeah, well,
you can call the car payment company, my mortgage company, and tell them that. I mean, I wouldn't be mad at you. No, yeah, there's a lot of these guys, I look at them, and you know, you get all walks of life in the military, and believe it or not, like in the unit I was in, you have a lot of PhDs. I mean, a lot of us have 2-3 master's degrees and everything, and we do okay when we get out. But you see some of these like I said, some of these younger guys that didn't have much when they come in, and they don't have much when they get out, except for, you know, bad habits and a messed up brain and that kind of stuff. You know, like the pheasant hunting and stuff, it can really let them know that there are people, you know, like you guys out there that actually just think that they're pretty awesome, and it makes them feel good and gives them something to go on, man. So I encourage everybody, you know, if you care about that stuff, man, find one of them charities, make sure you research it and make sure it's a good one, you know, that they do the right thing with your money. And man, if you want to give money to something, that's definitely a good cause, you know, for sure.
Well, you touched on it a little bit too. And I remember when all that was going on, it was like our guard kept getting called up. And I knew some of these guys that were in the National Guard here, and they were, weekend guys that, were teachers or doctors or bartenders or whatever. This wasn't a full-time thing for them, and next thing I know, they're going to the desert. And it was tough. It was tough to watch, in a lot of situations. And it was hard to see, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the hardest part about deploying, and pretty much I think anyone will say it's not being away, it's the leaving and the coming home. Especially the leaving when you got kids and a wife. I know I went through a few of them, over the years because of that. And it seems like guys like us, we care about the mission so much that we will sacrifice our families for that. Like it's just, and that happened during the war. A lot of us just walked away from our families, and that speaks to a mental issue that you're having, because you get addicted to war and all sorts of other craziness. But these guys, especially these National Guard dudes, man, they're at home all the time. That's not they don't live in a barracks in the 82nd Airborne where they know they could be gone at any time. They live at home and they work at home. And those dudes, my hat's off to those guys, because they get minimal training, they get minimal funding, and then all of a sudden they're running a convoy across Iraq, which was way more dangerous than anything I ever did. I had every asset that the military has at my disposal when I was outside the wire. Those guys don't have anything but a bunch of ill-trained, 20-year-old privates out there running around. That's all they got, and my hat's off to those dudes, because that's some brave-ass stuff going on there. My hat's off to them for sure.
Let's get back to what you were doing. What got you? Were you interested in long range shooting, or is that just something that happened to you in the military and you started to enjoy it, or how did you get interested in rifles?
When I first got to Special Forces, I had a team sergeant, the guy that was in charge of the team, who was a world champion pistol shooter. Like, the guy was just awesome. So I started competing with him. Back at 2001 time frame, whatever, and so I got into the competition thing and did a couple of national, won some championships, had a good time. Then when the war got going, I couldn't compete anymore. But doing what I did, we shot 500 to 1,000 rounds a day every day, so I kept my skills up pretty good. And then I think in 05 or 06, I went to sniper school, and that gave me another thing that I had to focus on. It wasn't, to be honest with you, pistol and carbine shooting and tactical, like 3-gun type shooting is really my favorite because it's fun. But long range shooting is what I ended up on my resume. It ended up getting me paid as I retired, and obviously doing stuff, which ultimately led me to you, going up there to Minnesota is that knowledge, because it does require some thinking and some learning in order to do it. You can't just figure it out on your own, typically. So yeah, it's long range shooting, I gotta say, is probably my second favorite, and pistol shooting is probably my favorite. But either way, it's all fun. I love all of it. So.
And I'm not going to ask you about long range shooting when you were serving, but when you were back here, you told me about a long shot that you connected on. What was your longest shot?
I was out there with some guys from Guns and Ammo, which happened to be my old team leader works there as a reporter. But we did a 2.6 mile shot out in Idaho. Yeah, that was a new experience for me, because we don't do that in the military. Despite what you see on Facebook, that doesn't happen, not very often. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. And come to find out, no matter what you do, it's all the same. You just got to do it better every time. The farther you go out, it's all the same stuff. The closer as when it's close in, you just have to do it better, because every little thing that you do wrong multiplies as the yardage gets longer. So
set that shot up for me. You guys are at a range, and what's your target, and what's the situation?
We're out in Hell's Canyon, Idaho. We're actually on the Night Force Ranch, the optics folks, which had actually spanned over, I think, 2 or 3 private properties. And, it's Idaho, so you can do whatever you want out there shooting wise. But we had a 36-inch round plate out at, I think it was like 3,850 or something like that, 3,850 yards. And thank goodness, because there was about 20 reporters or, film crew, drone pilots, all these people that were just tech nerds, that were there for the magazine around me, and they weren't shooter people, so they didn't understand what I was doing. And that was more nerve-wracking than anything that I ever did downrange. Because I could hear him saying, like, he didn't hit it. He was close, but he didn't hit it. I can't believe he didn't hit it. I thought he would hit it on the first shot, which, it took two shots to hit it. But
that's all it took.
There's so much. Yeah, it's so much to think about. Actually, I think it was 3 shots altogether.
Okay.
On that first one. But there's so much to think about. The bullet at that distance was like, I think 300, off the top of my head, maybe 300 feet at the top as it arced towards the bullet. That's 300 feet in the air. You can't see the winds up there. That's a whole nother, that's outer space to me anyway. And in the desert, you can't see the wind. It's just all rocks out there. So you can't see what the wind's doing. It was pretty interesting. I think most people, they probably find a lot of guys would probably shoot at that 20, 30 times before they even came close to it. But it was good. And actually having the drone guy down by the target and having a screen when he actually told me, because I thought I saw the first round hit, and I was like, oh man, did that just hit right on the left there on the ground? And he was like, yeah, it hit right in front of my camera. So I was able to make my correction off of that, and that's perfect. Where I got the hit from. So the nerd guys paid off. Man, that was crazy.
I've told that story to a few people, and the first question they ask is, what was he shooting? And I didn't even ask you what you were shooting, I don't think, if I can remember correctly.
We used to have a high-end rifle company, Italian rifle company, that Beretta owns a whole bunch of other companies. A lot of people don't realize they own Benelli, they own all sorts of other things, but they owned at the time Victrix rifles, which they don't anymore. But at that time, I was shooting one of their guns in 3.75 Chi-Tac, which, if you've ever seen the movie Shooter with Marky Mark, it's essentially the same bullet type gun that he used in that movie that everybody thought was so cool. So,
what was your opinion of the movie?
It's not too bad. It's actually pretty decent.
Oh,
I mean, it's a lot of improbabilities, but if you made it real life, those kind of movies, they wouldn't be worth watching because it's not that fun. It's kind of boring. You have to church everything up a little bit. I mean, come on, we all church up the size of the fish we didn't catch. So why wouldn't you church up a movie?
And that's the knock on Hollywood or TV shows or whatever all the time. It's like, they made it a little bit more dramatic, and you're absolutely right. I'll make fun of some of those shows too. Like, that's not realistic, but most of the time when you make it completely realistic, it's not going to be a blockbuster movie, at the box office. So you gotta take some liberties with it occasionally. And speaking of TV shows, all those guys were out there filming. Was that for that Beretta TV show?
No, that was actually they were doing reviews and writing articles about a whole bunch of stuff. I just happened to be out there as just to do that, and then some ballistic software stuff that they wanted that we were doing some reviews on and helping them write the articles for. So, like I said, one of the guys that writes for, I think he actually writes for Recoil now, is Tom Beckstrand. He's an old friend of mine, one of my team leaders from back in at B23 days. So that's kind of how all that came together.
The TV show is Trigger Time with Beretta. How did
yes, sir. Trigger Time. No, Beretta's just basically Trigger Time TV is kind of like the car show TVs, the fix-it shows that used to be on the weekends, and different companies give them, sponsor them or do whatever, and they have them on there and have their ambassadors do segments and stuff. And so I do a lot of the rifle segments for it, at least for this year anyways. I don't know if we'll do it again next year or not. I hope we do. It's a pretty fun show. We got some education. I try to do every educational stuff, even some more, next level educational stuff, because the basics, there's videos out there for all the basics. I try to do some of the next level stuff because that's what a lot of people ask for. And, they're short little 2 or 3, 4 or 5 minute clips, covering different products and different techniques and tactics and stuff. And then it's just a lot of fun to do either way.
Sure.
And I think it airs on the Pursuit channel, and there's a couple of different outdoor channels, but a lot of them are from west of the Mississippi, which I know you guys are in that. But out here on the East Coast, I can't get any of the channels that they're on, so I have to go on Facebook or YouTube to watch them.
Trigger Time, it's called though. Trigger Time.
Yes, sir. Trigger Time. Trigger Time TV.
Trigger Time TV.
I'm trying to think. Yeah, I can't remember the name of the other channel, but I know the Pursuit channel was one of them, and then Outdoor Life or something like that. I don't remember the other.
Well, guys can Google that and try to find it on the interwebs nowadays. And that long range shooting is what's bringing you back to Worthington, and that's you're coming back at the end of May. Is that right?
Yes, yeah, it'd be June. Yeah. First, yeah, I guess over Labor Day. Is it Labor Day or Memorial Day?
Memorial Day.
Yeah. It is Memorial Day. I get them mixed up. It was just a day off to me when I was in the military. But,
right.
Yeah, so I think, it's the beginning of the month. I'll be there for a whole week, I guess. Yeah. But then we're doing a pistol class, and then we're going to do a rifle class on the weekend.
So I was talking to Scott Rawl about that, and he said the long range, you'll be shooting at 1,500 yards, or that when you leave at the end of the class, you'll be shooting at 1,500 yards. Is that right?
Well, yeah. I mean, you'll be able to try it anyway. No, I don't think I've had a student yet. I do it in Iowa too. I go back to right near my hometown, and I've run, I think 3 classes there now, and they have a mile target out there, and I've had all my students have hit their mile target at the end of the class. Wow. It's not as hard as people think it is. You just need a little bit of guidance and a class on how to use the technology. Actually, is the big deal, because we use our phones, and there's ballistic solver calculators that you can use, and I teach them how to use that stuff, and then basic ballistics and things like that. And from there, they can learn more on their own. But you get the basics knocked out, and I think it's pretty good, because it's all stuff it took me a month in sniper school to learn. I can teach everybody pretty much in one day.
Wow.
I can go from zero to shooting at least, out to whatever distance. And distances don't matter. Like I said, it's all the same. It's just how good you are at that point. But yeah, I usually have guys going pretty good by the second day, man. They do a good job. So it's,
Now, is that
something
something
about rifle shooting? It's a little bit easier to teach than pistol shooting, because for some reason pistols make people go crazy. I think they lose IQ points when the pistol comes out for some reason. I don't know why, but with the rifle thing, everybody thinks they need to think more, and they get more, I don't know how to explain it, but people tend to be more focused, and which leads to better shooting, obviously.
So is that something where they bring a rifle, or do you provide that, or how does that work?
I have, if folks don't have their own, I have a few loaners from Tika and Saco that I have that they can use, which is good, because the company loves it when other people, as soon as you shoot them, you're going to want to buy one of those, because they are the best there is out there. But yeah, so guys, you can bring your own, and we'll have it all, put together, make sure it's done all up right, and get it all what we call doped up and everything, and it'll all be good by the time you leave. Or you can shoot one of mine and go get your own after you're done. You'll have the knowledge to go buy your own. And the cool thing about teaching these classes is I'm always available for reach back if you need questions and stuff. My guys, Scott, both Scotts, I'm sure you know Cowboys.
Oh,
I call him Cowboy Scott, or Scott Squared. Yeah, yes, I do. I can't pronounce his last name. Typical Minnesota last name.
Right.
But yeah, those guys, I just built them rifles, each one of them, and they're when you see, they're pretty kick-ass rifles. They're pretty sweet. So they use me to do that, and they're always asking me questions, and I love it, because knowledge is only good if you spread it. If you hoard the knowledge, you're just doing a disservice to everyone. So,
well, that's May 29th and 30th in Worthington. Proceeds benefit Nobles County Pheasants Forever. So get a hold of Scott or Nobles County Pheasants Forever for information. And then there's also a tactical pistol course May 28th that you're doing too. And what will that entail?
Well, we're gonna only be able to train as hard as our slowest person. So if we have a super newbie out there, then will probably, the wife and I will probably end up, I haven't said anything about her yet, but she's also a retired Army special operations intelligence officer, and she was one of the first females to go to downrange to war with the operators like me. So she's done a lot of the dirty work too, and it's kind of fun. She has a lot of knowledge herself. But if we have to split the class up a little bit, but mostly we'll go as fast as our slowest person. And we'll go everything from basics, and we'll get as far as we can into moving and shooting steel targets, paper targets, whatever, shooting from behind cover. If we get to shooting from vehicles, if we're doing that good, then we'll shoot from vehicles.
Cool.
Just almost what I call it like cop type stuff, shooting over hoods and shooting from out through the windows, and, just things you might do in a concealed carry / you get mobbed in your car type thing, or moving throughout the streets or around your house or whatever, and having to engage targets, or, just anything you could do with a pistol, and then the harder you make it, the easier it is when you have to do it for real. So
man,
we'll push everybody to their limit, and then we'll back them down a little bit, and we'll push them a little bit more, and just keep doing that. And we'll get everybody as good as we can. So,
and one of those things you hope you never have to do for real, but you want to know how to do it just in case.
Yep.
And I feel like we're getting into a time in this world that the reality is closer than it maybe ever has been for people. So this is a good class. I'm surprised it hasn't filled up already. I know finding ammo is kind of a challenge right now, but 20.
That's a huge deal.
Yeah, gosh, just for anybody, let alone people wanting to go take a class. 20 available openings for the tactical pistol course, 15 for the long range shooting. And again, that's May 28, 29, and 30. Get a hold of Nobles County Pheasants Forever. Todd VanLangen, I appreciate the time. There's some crazy stuff, some interesting stuff, and I'm going to try to get down there for that class. So hopefully I'll see you down there at the end of May. And I appreciate.
That'd be awesome. It'd be good to see you.
Appreciate the time. Do you have a website or anything you want to plug, or anything people can search for?
Yeah, well, I have a business website, but I haven't even looked at it in like 2 years, so it's kind of silly. My Facebook, if anybody wants to go on that, I had to get a new account. It's under Todd Van Diesel, which was my high school nickname, so I had to change my name to something. And then I do TikTok at Retired Operator. I've been trying to put some product videos up on there. So those are the two platforms I got to get my Instagram back up. I was part of that whole, how they purged all the conservative folks before the election.
Gross
nonsense. They hit all the special ops guys really hard, because I think they thought we were the people that were going to incite a revolution or something, because that's what we do for a living. So they wanted to take our platforms away to do that, I guess, is what I'm gathering from my NSA buddies. So there's some tinfoil hat stuff for you guys.
You got your Instagram taken away?
Yeah, because they're linked, but I woke up one day and my Facebook said my account had been permanently deleted by Facebook. No reason given, absolutely none. I hadn't done anything wrong, because as a sponsored shooter, I can't put political posts and other things like that up there, because it's part of my contract. I get in trouble. If I do something racist, they'd kick me out, and I wouldn't even get to think about it, or sexist or anything else. And Instagram, I had never done anything besides product and, tactics videos and things like that, video of me at SHOT Show or whatever. And that, with 50,000 followers, and the next day you wake up and it's gone permanently. I couldn't even arbitrate. They just said, no, you're done. And I'd never even been in trouble. And it was crazy, man. And there was a bunch of us. Pat McNamara, you may have heard of him. He's kind of a big deal. I know Larry Vickers lost one of his accounts. He's a really, really big deal. I think it was just a way to keep people from being able to spread other information that they didn't want spread around. I hate to be the tinfoil hat guy, because I don't care that much, but
unreal.
It seemed like it was weird, because honestly, none of us care about any of that stuff. We just want to do our business and have fun, but it is what it is. So yeah, I'm starting from scratch again.
Wow, jeez. I would, a couple of months ago, man, I would have made fun of you for having a TikTok account. You don't even know, but.
Yeah, me too.
I've come a long ways. Like all of a sudden I was interviewing a guy for this show, and he guides ice fishing up on Devil's Lake at Haybale Heights. And Curtis Blake is Dakota guy on TikTok anyway. And he was like, yeah, I made this TikTok video. And I said, you did what? And yeah, I made this TikTok video. And I was giving him such a hard time about it. And then he started talking about all the views he was getting and all the other hunting and fishing videos that are on TikTok, and I went and got an account and started it up, and now I'm on TikTok too. So I'm there, man.
I feel a little weird making videos, and I know if people see me doing it, if it's, you know, something around town or whatever next to my truck or doing something like that, I feel like, because I see the kids doing it, I'm like, man, you look kind of silly.
Yeah.
But, you know, I mean, if I could get the products that you know, the companies that take care of me, if I can get their name out there a little bit, and, you know, it's, that's what being a sponsored shooter is all about. He's just like, kind of like Ricky Bobby with his Fig Newtons on his windshield.
That's
of his
absolutely
car, you know?
right. Absolutely. Well, and I've, you know, because like Facebook and Instagram, they've monetized the platform so much, it's hard to do any promotion, where TikTok, you're still allowed, you know, they don't throttle you down with the algorithms when you're trying to promote some of your stuff and make a living at it. So I totally get it, man. All right. Well, Todd, good luck with everything, and hopefully see you down here in a couple of months. And thanks for the time today on the show. I really appreciate it. Thank you again for your service.
Yes, sir. God bless you, and y'all take care. We'll see you soon.
This has been the Finding Fur and Feathers Hunting Podcast, part of the Sporting Journal Radio family. Subscribe wherever you get podcasts, or visit us at findingfurandfeathers.com.
OnX Hunt. Ever heard of it? Next time you see that guy at your local shop who always punches his tag on a stud whitetail, ask him. He'll tell you about the most trusted source for mapping, with nationwide landowner names, private and public land boundaries, including walk-in areas, map tools to mark spots, and the ability to view your maps without cell service. And that's just scratching the surface. It's your time to be known as the big buck guy around town. Download the leader in hunt mapping on Google Play or the App Store. OnX Hunt. Know where you stand.
Now is the time to start thinking about chasing big walleyes on Devil's Lake. Get on the fish at Haybale Heights Campground and Resort. Haybale Heights makes it easy for you to make memories on legendary Devil's Lake with guided fishing and lodging packages. Or bring your own boat and rent one of their cabins on East Bay. Haybale Heights offers a private marina, fish cleaning station, and the opportunity to relax and enjoy your bucket list trip to Devil's Lake, North Dakota. To book your trip, visit haybaleheights.com. That's haybaleheights.com.
Did you know there are more than 1,000 lakes in Otter Tail County?
Yep, and I'm gonna fish as many as I can. I'm an outdoorsy otter. Nothing beats a full day of fishing for me. The lakes of Otter Tail County give me plenty of options to lower my boat and snag the perfect catch. Not an outdoorsy otter? No problem. Otter Tail County has something for everyone. You just need to find your inner otter. Go to this site right here.
Hey anglers, looking for a destination where walleyes, fresh air, and fish fries are a way of life? Look no further than the famous waters of Lake of the Woods. From Badette and the Rainy River to the main lake up to the northwest angle. Here you'll enjoy the best walleye catch rate in the state. Maybe you'll pursue world-class sturgeon, pike, or muskies. Plus you'll find lots of full-service resorts offering charter boats, delicious meals, and lots of Minnesota nice. Come experience the walleye capital of the world. Come experience Lake of the Woods. Catch the details at lakeofthewoodsmn.com.